What do Family Dollar, Victoria's Secret, and Payless all have in common? Hey, how are you? Seriously, how are you? CC Cheney here, and I am one half of a husband and wife duo that helps you reclaim your physical and financial health. And today we are chatting about what these three companies have in common. I would love to hear your guess of what it is that you think they have in common. Drop them in the comments and let me know. And this morning, I was reading an article. You're probably used to me saying that, but I was reading an article this morning, and all three of these companies made the list, right? What do they have in common? Well, they all announced that they'd be closing down large numbers of their stores this year. In fact, they all made the top 50 list of companies that were facing financial woes and closing down stores. It's crazy because when I think about these three companies, these are all companies that I'm familiar with. I've bought stuff from. I've bought a lot of stuff from, right? And at the top of this list of 50 companies, or maybe it's the bottom of the list, depending on how you see things, was none other than Payless shoe stores, right? And Payless brings back crazy memories for me, right? I remember being a kid who was like, so embarrassed that we had to shop at Payless, right? Like other people were shopping at Famous Footwear. And we had to shop at Payless because our parents were immigrants and that's what they could afford. And over time, right, Payless became less of an embarrassment and it became more of a common store that people just went to, right? Now, I definitely went through my college days when it was all like, I have to wear Guess pumps and, you know, all of that nonsense, but that is long gone. And now, you know, Payless became someplace where you could shop at and be really normal. And so it's really interesting because when Jason and I actually decided to pick up our life and move to another country, one of the first things we did when we went out exploring was we walked into the biggest mall in Central America and we saw Payless, right? We were like, oh my God, Payless. And it was like having a little piece of home with us, right? And the funny thing about that is, Payless was like the only store in the country where Jason could get shoes that fit his big old huge feet, right? And so Payless once again became this like staple that we had to go to because Jason couldn't get shoes otherwise in that country. We had to ship shoes in, and he has some stuff with his feet, so he has to buy shoes very frequently. And Payless became a really big source for us. And so now here we're sitting, the roles have completely reversed, and the stores in the U.S. That were Payless have closed or are closing, and the Latin American market remains open. So here we are in Colombia. Payless still exists here, which is pretty funny. But it really had me thinking. What would you do if your main source of income was gone overnight? Because that's the reality of what we're talking about here, right? You have people who go to work and wake up one day and learn that their companies are downsizing or out of existence in the market in which you live in, right? I know that's a scary thought, but what would you do? Do you have a plan in place? Do you have a plan B? Do you have an additional stream of income that can allow you to be safe when these things happen, right? It's part of the reason why I got into the home-based business arena in the first place, right? Part for me was that I was kind of bored and I wanted something to do with my time, right? But it's something that we have to really think about in this day and age where the reality is that companies are closing, right? This list that I looked at today were just sort of retail outlets. They were like retail shops. But that's not a list of all the companies that are downsizing, that are replacing jobs, right? So whether your goal is to replace your income or supplement it, you might want to consider having a home-based business to help you get there. In fact, if you are working, you probably want to have a home-based business just for the tax advantages that you can get, right? So if you'd like some details on what Jason and I are doing to earn some extra cash on a super part-time basis, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'd be more than happy to share some info with you on that. So that's what I've got for you today. Look forward to chatting with you tomorrow. Ciao.